listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited. This is a great topic we're going to present to you today. The title of which I created and I'm looking at, and it's very wordy, but it's Stop Chasing Pay Apps and Lien Waivers. So to automate your subcontractor payment process with Trimble Pay. This is a joint presentation by CDP, that's us, and Trimble Corporation, our partner in the job cost accounting arena and project management arena. So to get started here, I just want to make some quick introductions. With us today, we have Doug Parisi. He's on the Trimble sales side on Trimble Pay, and Terry Grisham, the manager of Trimble Payments. And then with CDP, it's me, Brett Kligerman, and also Paul Riefenberg. So just a quick little thing about GoToWebinar, which we're using today to present to you. I have everybody's lines muted so we don't get any feedback. If you have any questions, up on the control panel, upper right-hand corner of your screen, there should be a question mark. You can just select that, type in your question. If you do have a question and you type it in, we're going to cut Doug off and give the question to him and get you an answer. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got. This is being recorded and you will get an email. It comes out probably in about 6 hours once we're done. You can view the recording, share it with all your colleagues at work, your friends, watch as many times as you want. Feel free to enjoy it. It's there for your use. So thank you. Doug, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, Brett. So y'all should be seeing my screen now.
Yep,
and I'm not
I can see
sure,
it.
Brett, is that something that is popped up big for them or?
Yep, it looks good.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, hi everybody. It's nice to meet everyone virtually today. My name is Doug Parisi. I'm with the Trimble Pay team. And just like Brett said, today we're going to give you a little taste of Trimble Pay. So I want to show you kind of the ins and outs of it, give you a taste of what you as the general contractor would be seeing, or we even do work for, bigger subs who sub out work. So whatever role you fit into, we'll show you that side of things. And then we'll also show you the subcontractor side. So what you'd be asking your subcontractors to do if you did utilize Trimble Pay. And then we'll switch gears, come back to the general contractor side and finish out those disbursements. So as Brett said, let the questions fly as you have them. You don't need to wait till the end. I know if it was me, I'd pretty much forget them. So please ask them as they come up and we'll go ahead and we'll try to take care of them as quickly as we can for you. But just want to roll through, again, just a high-level overview of Trimble Pay, and then we'll actually jump into the application here. So as you can see on my screen here, what Trimble Pay basically is a platform for both you and your subcontractors to collaborate on that monthly billing process. So we're going to give you the ability to collect those pay applications on system. The nice thing is you're going to see that we generate those for your subcontractors. So all that information is accurate that's on the pay app, leaves very little room for any sort of error there. We also are going to automatically generate the lien waivers for them. So again, those will be signed on system. So your team can see that they have been signed, who they've been signed by right when that happens. We do also enforce compliance. So if you have any sort of compliance items that you want to be collected and tracked through Trimble Pay, I'll show you how we can do that. And then we do also have the ability to facilitate ACH payments out of Trimble Pay. It is an additional or an add-on rather, but I'll show you how we can provide you with that capability as well. But the nice thing with Trimble Pay is you can continue to pay your subcontractors the same way you do today and still enjoy all these benefits of basically bringing you to that finish line. So the main thing we want to do here, what we see a lot is either a very manual process, or even if you are utilizing emails, things like that, it still has a lot of steps to that process. There's a lot of manual intervention. So this might be familiar to you. And the goal of Trimble Pay is to reduce this quite a bit. So again, a lot of times that we see the challenges that we see that make these such a lengthy process is the math errors on pay apps. So you're having to correct those, send them back for revision, get them re-signed, bring them back, chasing down those lien waivers. I've talked to some companies where they are 30, 60, 90 days in arrears of getting those lien waivers. So we'll help you with that. Tracking lower tier vendors. So if you do have subcontractors of your subcontractors that you need compliance items for, lien waivers for, we can also track those lower tier vendors, as we call them, and have them reported on. Again, we will also help with those compliance issues because, as we know, whether they are expired or non-existent, that can be a big piece of the puzzle there in terms of getting those projects done on time and on budget. And then again, of course, it being a paper-based process can just lend to those errors, lend to the time it takes, snail mail things out. So again, we want to take that 12-step process and bring it down to 4 simple steps with Trimble Pay. So the billing values will be entered by your subcontractor on Trimble Pay. That's the big thing. We're going to give them a lot of power here to go ahead and complete these tasks on their own to really take that off of your team's plate. Like I mentioned, Trimble Pay is then going to auto-generate all the documentation for them to sign right there on system. Those will then be routed electronically through your team for approvals, and then you'll go ahead and approve those disbursements again right there on system, and then either pay via Trimble Pay ACH or outside the system as you do today. Now, I was told that most, if not all of y'all are Spectrum users, so I do want to highlight our integration with Spectrum as well. So you can see here, and I'll highlight it again once we're going through the demo, kind of those integration points. But if you are already housing in Spectrum your jobs, your subcontractors, your change orders, those can all be brought over to Trimble Pay. So you don't have to recreate those and do any dual entry in there. Then, of course, once your subcontractors start billing on those lines and they get approved of, those can then be sent back to Spectrum so that your team has the visibility in Spectrum as well as Trimble Pay. So let me go ahead now and I will switch over to the Trimble Pay application here. I don't believe we had any questions there so far, but of course, if any do come up, please feel free to just shoot them in there into the chat and we'll get them answered for you. So now you should be seeing my Trimble Pay home screen. So when you log in, this is what you would be seeing. This is going to be unique to each and every user on your team. So let's say I'm a PM, I'm not going to see projects that I'm not involved with. This is only what is applicable to me. And you can see here when they do sign in, you're going to have all the projects again that you're a part of, and you can see some progress that's done on those projects. The nice thing is we also have these badges that say pending approval. So that can draw the immediate attention of your team to those projects, letting them know, hey, these ones have something that we need to look at right away. The task list over here on the left-hand side corresponds to those approval items. So they can click in there and get a nice eagle eye view of everything they need to take care of. I'm not going to click into this because it opens up a new window that you guys can't see. And then it just, how that goes with tabs and all that. But if you were to click into this, it would take you to a section where you can manage your email notifications. The reason I bring that up is there is a item in there where you can select to have basically this task list emailed to you each and every day. So although we are going to be emailing when an invoice is ready for approval or when a compliance item comes in for your approval, as we know, y'all are doing stuff all day. You're not checking your emails. You're not glued to the computer, to your phone. So a lot of times those emails, they get bumped down a lot. I know I'm scrolling through mine right now. I'm having to scroll all the way to the bottom just to get to some of today's emails. So understandable that those can get lost in the shuffle. But if you select to have that email sent, it will basically send this out at one time to that PM, letting them know, hey, here's everything on your plate right now. So to kind of give them, again, that eagle eye view, make it a little bit easier for them. But what we're going to do now is we're going to click into this Trimble Resort project, and we're going to go ahead and walk you through a little bit of the setup here. So like I mentioned, if you do have all this information already in Spectrum, we're going to pull it right over to Trimble Pay. So just as you see here, the contracts would all be set up, the contract numbers would correspond, the amounts would all be here, and all the vendors here would be assigned if they were assigned in Spectrum. So just like Bridges and Sons is assigned to this line here, all these others would have your subcontractors assigned as well. All you need to do from here is click into this subcontract and send the invitation to that subcontractor. So when you do that, you can send this invitation out. And now that subcontractor is going to get an email letting them know, hey, you've been invited to bill through Trimble Pay on this project. There's going to be a link right in that email that brings them straight to this homepage here so that they can start billing for the month. Now you can see here on this home screen, this is basically the contract for that subcontractor. It has the total value here, anything that's been done so far. Of course, we haven't done anything yet. And then the schedule values where you can fill this out, or of course, if you have this filled out in Spectrum, we can pull this over, or you can send this over blank to your subcontractors. And like I said before, kind of put that on their plate, where then your team is going to have the ability to review and approve of that. And of course, if there's any issues with that, you can decline it. But again, put that onus on your subcontractors to go ahead and fill this out. But totally up to you how you want to do that. You do have the options there. I do want to go through a couple of the settings in here as well for the project. So at the top here, you can see we have a couple tabs. The members tab, of course, is what's going to house your team. So in here, you would have your PMs, your accounting people, whoever your disperser is, and they would all have different roles here. As you can see, I'm kind of the super user, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to do everything here. But typically, those responsibilities would be parsed out. You can see here over under this approval level, we do have the ability to go ahead and dictate workflow approvals. So if typically at your company, you have a PM being kind of the first line of defense, but then you want someone in accounting to also check that invoice for approval, we can set that up so you can have those workflows right here in Trimble Pay. The settings tab here, of course, is just going to be, oh, of course, why not? Why not? No worries, right back in it. So the settings tab here is going to be what houses just the bones of the contract, you know, all the information here. And then this is where you would toggle on if you did have lower tiers that you wanted to track. And then we do also have a workflow for automatic retainage reduction. So if in your contracts, you typically say, hey, at 90% complete, we're going to reduce your retainage from 10% to 5%. We can have that workflow automatically done here with this automatic retainage reduction. The billing requirements are going to be what you're asking your subcontractor to sign electronically on system. So again, this is what we will generate for them. So you can see here, I've built this one out. This is my default template where I have my pay app, my sworn statement, my waivers, but these can all be built out in the company settings. So over here in the billing requirements templates, you can build out these templates so that when you create a project, you don't need to go through and select each and every one of those documents again. You can just have it and say, hey, this is a California project, put the California template on there. Or this is an Arizona project. We do have all the state specific waivers in here. So that's kind of why I have those templates filled out that way. But whatever the nature of your project is, you can have those templates built out so you can just easily plug and play with those. Same thing for the compliance templates. So here on my project, I know I'm going to have a certificate of insurance and a W-9 required on every single one of my projects. So that's just going to show up automatically. Now, when you do click into a specific project, if you do have some other compliance requirements you need for this specific project or even this specific vendor, you can add those here on a project by project or again, vendor by vendor basis. You know, let's say this is a newer vendor, we've never used them before. Maybe I want to collect certified weekly payroll from them as well, just to make sure that, you know, they're on the up and up. You can add that again, vendor by vendor, however you see fit there. The billing periods here, again, these can be dictated at the company level. So you can say, hey, every single one of my projects, I want to start on the 1st and I want those to roll until the 20th. And then again, you can come in project by project and say, okay, well, the Trimble Resort project's a little different. We actually need that billing to go to the end of the month here. And then you can change that project by project as well. So let's see, go back into this project now. It looks like we do have a question. So let's see, oh, test question, of course, you got me. All right, so we'll click in here now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch gears and I'm going to go into the subcontractor role. So I'm gonna go into their profile, show you what it looks like on their end and how they would go through and complete what you're asking them to do in here. So we'll log out. Come right back in here. Now, when I log in as the subcontractor, you're going to see they have a very similar home screen to what the general contractor has. So you can see all the projects that they're involved with. Now, these might be a mix in here. They might be working with other general contractors that also use Trimble Pay. So this is going to be all the projects that they're involved with. Then you can see here up top, they do have a couple contracts that are pending their acceptance. So here's this one we just sent over to them. So they get a nice eagle eye view of that as well. And they can easily accept that contract. And when they do, it brings them right into that contract home screen. So now this is where they are tasked with filling out this schedule of values. So again, The nice thing is you can see this is a $10,000 contract. They can't bill over that. So they can come and fill this out on their own, but they're not going to be able to go above that $10,000 mark. So we'll put in a couple lines here just as an example, a couple $5,000 lines. And you can see once I do that now, schedule values is complete and they can start editing their bill for this current period. You also get an email notification once that schedule of values is complete. So again, your team can go ahead and take a look at it. But when they start to edit, now that schedule of values gets locked down, and this period, current percent, and store materials open up as columns that they can edit. So for this period and current percent, they're actually linked. So it's really just up to that subcontractor how they want to report this. So they can put in a dollar amount and it will populate a percentage. They can put in a percentage and it will populate a dollar amount. And then for the store materials here, I have it set to a way where nothing's going to pop, of course, if they don't report store materials. However, if they do say, hey, I have $500 of store materials here, I'm now going to task them with providing me with backup for that, whether it's an invoice, a picture of those store materials. When I go to have them sign their lien waiver and their pay app, they're also going to have to provide that to me. So let's say they're all done. That's what they're going to report for the month, is $2,500 of labor and the $500 of store material. Well, I also have it set up right now to where they're not able to continue because they haven't provided me with their compliance information. So you can see, even though that button is there, they cannot click it. And we have that tag right there saying, hey, you can't submit this bill when you're out of compliance. So please upload that new compliance documents right over here in the compliance tab. So they come in here, and this is where they have that certificate of insurance and W-9 that we are requiring from them. The nice thing with Trimble Pay is it is web-based. So they can access this from their phone, from a tablet. So if they're out in the field, they can just snap a picture really easily, come in here and upload this to Trimble Pay, and they are all set. So again, they upload that COI because they do expire. We'll put an expiration date on there. And now Trimble Pay is going to read that. And 30 days before that document expires, we're going to go ahead and send a notification out to both you and the subcontractor, letting you know, hey, this is coming up for expiration. We'll send another notification out the day before and one the day of expiration. So 3 notifications to hopefully get ahead of that and get the new documents in there before it lags on them. But now, when I go back into that contract, you can see it is green at the top. They are ready to bill, and they can go ahead and sign and submit here. So when they sign and submit, now Trimble Pay is going to generate all that backup documentation for them to sign. So with their pay app, and I asked this to people, I've heard it before, on that pay app, has it happened before where there's, yes, a math error, but has it happened where there's an error to something that is not math related, where it's maybe just the header information, they got the zip code wrong, something so simple that still requires you to decline that application, send it back for revision, and then have it, which of course takes time, takes effort on everyone's part. This way with Trimble Pay, everything is done for that subcontractor. So at the same time where we're showing you this, we do sometimes get the question or the comment that, hey, you know, I work with subcontractors. It's 2 guys in a truck. You know, they barely look at a computer. How are they going to do this? I ask, how are they doing it today? A lot of times I hear, well, you know, they fill it out. It's a pencil paper. They do this. I'm telling you, this is going to be a million times easier for them than the pencil paper route. So they come in here, they see how easy it is for them to get in here and bill and sign these documents. And when it takes them 5 minutes rather than 15, 20, 30, however long it's taken them today, very quickly we see the adoption rate for Trimble Pay skyrocket. So not only do they say 80% of our subcontractors can self-onboard, but they say we have a 99% subcontractor adoption rating with Trimble Pay. So they love the system. They get in here. They see the benefit to themselves as well. And again, the adoption rate just goes through the roof for you. So again, for this, all that they're reviewing here is this number in yellow. So the math has all been done for them. Retention is calculated. So if this $2,700 is what they're expecting to get paid, they go ahead and sign this document. Now, the nice thing is when they click sign, we're reading exactly who at that subcontractor organization is signing this document. So it's not even just, hey, XYZ subcontractor signed it. It is exactly who at that organization signed it. So if there is any sort of issue, you know exactly who to go to. So same thing here with the conditional. As long as that number is correct, they go ahead and sign this. Now I have it set up right now where I'm asking them to also sign their unconditional waiver up front. Now, again, we've never really gotten pushback from subcontractors for this. However, we do like to provide them with some stability and some confidence that, hey, even though you are providing this to us up front, it is not going to be valid until you have been paid. So up top, you see we say it's going to be locked in a secure vault until payment is verified. If they click on this Learn More button, it will bring them to basically a one-pager detailing that electronic lockbox. And then when they sign it, another affidavit will pop up, basically telling them, hey, again, this is not valid until you go ahead and verify that you've been paid. So you can see here on the lien waiver, it is watermarked unofficial. And again, when they sign it, we're letting them know, hey, again, not legally binding until you've gone ahead and verified you've been paid. Now, how do they do that? Well, if you're going to use the ACH that's embedded inside of Trimble Pay, we, of course, can recognize when that payment gets initiated, and we give it 48 to 72 hours to clear, and then we automatically release that unconditional waiver to you. If you are going to be paying outside of the system, what your subcontractor would do is once you go ahead and mark that item as paid inside of Trimble Pay, it will populate a workflow here in the Verify Payments tab for the subcontractor so they can come back in and verify that payment, which I'll show you right after this. So going back through these documents, again, the sworn statement here, this is what would show that lower tier, if they did have any lower tier subcontractors on there. And then the store material invoice, again, is only populating because I put that store material $500 on that for this invoice. So of course, if I didn't put that, this wouldn't pop up for them to show. But now you can see everything rolls up. And again, as long as that $2,700 is what they're expecting to get paid, they submit this invoice and they are done for the month. So now they've gone through, they created their schedule of values for you. They completed their invoice, they submitted their compliance documents, and they've electronically signed all necessary documents for you to go ahead and get them paid. Seems pretty simple. So just to round it out with that. Yes.
We have 3 questions.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let them fly.
I sorry to interrupt you there. I wanted to.
No, you're good. Perfect timing.
Is there a cost to the subcontractor?
No, great question. No cost to the subcontractor whatsoever. And Trimble takes on the onus of training your subcontractor. So I can't promise they're never going to call you again. But if they do, you send them our way and we'll get them taken care of in the system.
Perfect. Thank you. What about the requirement of notary? What about the need to collect GC lien waivers from second tier vendor subcontractors? So that was actually 2 questions.
Yes, great question. So the notary, your subcontractors can set up a person in their organization as a notary if they have one. That way that person can do everything right on system. If they don't have an in-house notary, they can download these forms, have them wet signed and wet notarized, and then re-upload them into the system. So a couple different ways they can do that, but we do have the ability for them to be a notary on system as well. And then the other question was, what again, remind me?
It was, what about the need to collect GC lien waivers from second tier vendor subcontractors?
Yes, so I didn't have that as a workflow in this. I do apologize, but in the settings of the document, I'm on the subcontractor side, so I can't edit that. My fault. When I go back to the GC side, I will show you that toggle. It's in the settings, and it's just lower tier tracking. So you would toggle that on, and then when your subcontractor is actually going through and submitting this, before they actually sign their documents electronically, they would have in this lower tiers tab, that lower tier that they would report on. So in there, they can add in notice of furnishings, lien waivers, compliance items, whatever you require of them, they can put right in there.
What about making exceptions on lien waivers?
It's a good question. Not sure what the exception might be, but if you're asking, like, can they sign it on the after they've been paid, if you don't want to have them sign the unconditional up front, we can do that. You can see here in the Verify Payments tab, again, this concrete one I had in that scenario. So when they went through and electronically signed their documents, they did not sign their unconditional. And now, once I've said that I have made that payment, when they go, instead of verifying their payment, signing their unconditional is basically them verifying that payment and then submitting that unconditional to us. So I'm not sure if that's what you were talking about there, but if not, we can connect afterwards and kind of get into the details of your question if needed.
Okay. I have one more question, and if there's a follow-up to that, they can just type in another question.
Okay.
Within the compliance for stored material, is there an area for pictures?
Yeah, so that last part that I just showed, basically, if you can set it up to where if they do put a number in this store material column, when they go through and are signing their electronic documents, that was that last thing I did. I might have gone through a little quick. I apologize. But the last task on there was to upload that store material backup. And then it's just up to you what you want that to be, whether it's an invoice or a picture of the materials. But yeah, that comes through, as you can see here, on the electronically signed documents.
Great, thanks. Great questions.
Yeah, excellent questions. All right, so while we're here, I'll go ahead and hop into the help center here. So again, the training of your subcontractors falls on Trimble Pay. So we're going to get with them. We're going to make sure that they're comfortable and confident using the system. However, we do have some different avenues for them to do that. So of course, we have a phone number for them to call. They can get a live person there. They can also submit a ticket request if it seems like it's a little bit more complex issue. And then we do have the help articles here. So they can click in here and kind of go through the self-help route if they want, to where there's, again, articles, there's videos in there, lots of different materials for them to kind of parse through if they want to go that route. Totally up to them. We do also have here at the bottom, you can see this Trimble Assistant. So this is an AI-powered assistant here that at first, I'll admit, I was a little skeptical of, but it does a really good job of detailing out, like button click by button click, what you need to do. So like I asked it, well, we'll do this right now. How do I release retainage? Now, of course, this is going to be for a general contractor, but you can see here, it's going to list out, hey, button click by button click. This is where you go to. These are the tabs you use. So again, this seems to be a really helpful tool for subcontractors as well to get some easy answers, you know. So again, you can see here, it tells them exactly where they need to go and what they need to do to go ahead and do that. The other thing we do is we have weekly webinars for them. So kind of just like we're doing now, we invite subcontractors to come on, we'll go through the system, we'll do different scenarios with them and make sure that, again, they're comfortable using this system. But like I mentioned, 80% of them hop in the system and self-onboard. So something about this is very simple for them, which is pretty cool. But yeah, if needed, we are there for help for them. So what I'm going to do now
Uh,
is go back. Sorry, we got
I have
another
one more
question?
question. In the event
Sure.
that a subcontractor has personnel changes, how
Mhm.
easy is it for them to update to a new user?
Very easy. So they'll have an admin, you know, a main user here, but of course that person can add other members here. So very simple for them to either add members or of course, if this member has left, go ahead and delete that member out. So yeah, this is
So
all done in
they
the company settings.
they do that then.
Yes, the vendors would
Okay.
manage, the subcontractors would manage that themselves.
Okay. Because the next question or the follow-up to that was, do we need as an upline to approve this change? But they're making the change, so that would sounds like it would take care of that.
It would. Yep. Yeah, good question though. All right. So yeah, so now I will go ahead and go back to the general contractor side and we'll finish out this project and show you what that disbursement looks like. So before I do that, I will just hop into the project and show you again. So if you did want to turn on that lower tier tracking, this toggle right here would go ahead and once you have that toggled on is now going to present every subcontractor with that button to say, hey, here's your chance now to go ahead and submit on your lower tier subcontractors before they electronically sign their documents. If they don't have a lower tier subcontractor, there's a button there to say submit without lower tiers. Perfect. They just bypass right through it. And then, of course, if they need to, they add in whatever you require of them. So yeah, that's where you would go ahead and turn that on. But now that that has come back through, you can see on the Trimble Resort project now we are pending approval for that. So again, when we click in here and go to that, you can see what that subcontractor has done. So again, if your team is going through this and you see, hey, on the schedule values, there's an issue, or this period, hey, you know, for the clearing, they had 1,500, we only had it down for 1,000, you can go ahead and you can decline this. When you decline it, I always recommend leaving a comment. Let's keep that communication inside of Trimble Pay, right? So there's not random phone calls and emails and what's going on, let them know exactly what's going on. So you leave a comment right on the line. Hey, we had this down for 1,500, or we had this down for 1,000. You have 1,500. Go ahead and change it to 1,000. We'll get you paid for this period. You know, if there's a conversation to be had, of course, you can have that back and forth. But most of the time, from what I hear, it's, you know, there's a little mistake there, and the 1,000 is what we're going to pay you. So put the 1,000 on there, and again, we'll go ahead and get you paid. Now, when you do decline that, they will get an email letting them know, hey, this has been declined. It will have your comment right there. And then it will also have a link that they can come right back in here and start editing that invoice again. When they do edit that, because it will now have new values on there, they will have to go through and re-sign those documents. But as you saw, it takes them 5 minutes. But they re-sign those so that all the values match and are correct now. And then it comes back to your team just like this for reapproval. So let's say, great, you did that. They've gone ahead and they edit it, and now it's exactly what we were looking for. Beautiful. We go ahead and approve this bill. And when we approve this, it's now going to get sent to our payments and waivers screen. So this is where I always tell people, you know, let's say this sub was really proactive. They got their stuff in. It's June 4th. I'm not closing the period till the 20th. Okay, well, if you've approved of that subcontract, then you don't really need to do anything until you're ready to go ahead and start making those disbursements. So whether you function on like a pay when paid workflow and you're waiting to get funded from the owner, or again, you're just waiting for the end of the period, you let these live in this payments and waivers screen until you're ready to actually start making those disbursements. So you can see we're, again, either waiting for the end of the period, waiting for all these invoices to come in. But once those do come in and you're ready to start making those disbursements, you'll toggle this as ready to pay. That will then move it over to our payable invoices screen, to where then your disperser is going to be doing their final checks, making sure that everything is on the up and up for them to get paid. So here they're going to be checking how they're going to be paying that subcontractor. So you can see here, this one is eligible for ACH payments. Doesn't mean they need to pay them that way, but they do have their banking information on system. Again, that is something that the subcontractors take care of. You do not have to worry about housing their banking information or anything like that. The compliance information here, you can see this one is showing that, hey, it was submitted, but nobody's checked it yet. So we might want to do that before we go ahead and pay these people. If it was not submitted at all, which again, the way that I had it set up was not a possibility, they could not proceed without submitting the compliance information. But you, of course, can have it set up to where you can allow that. It would be a red X there if they had not even submitted anything. So a couple different ways you can tell. But of course, what we're looking for is that green check. So we'll take a break from this in a second and go back and approve that. But just run through the rest of these here. Again, this is just showing that, hey, that unconditional has been signed. It is waiting in that electronic lockbox there. And then again, just making sure that the pay period is correct, the total amount's correct. And then for this example, because, you know, hey, I need those compliance items checked, you can leave a comment. And when you leave a comment on this screen, it's going to be an internal only comment. So you can say, because again, most of the time these duties are parsed out, I don't have the ability to check compliance. So I need whoever is a compliance checker to go and do that so I can complete my job. So I leave this comment, hey, Jim, I need you to go and check the compliance so I can disperse this on the Trimble Resort project. Cool. They get an email letting them know that, and they can come back in really quickly and go ahead and approve that. So for the compliance items, they just click in here and they can click on those items, view them, make sure that it is a valid certificate of insurance that is not expired. Once they verify that, they'll go ahead and select it as compliant. And then same thing for that W-9, select that as compliant. And now that subcontractor is all good. And when we come back to this screen, they go to a green check. Beautiful. Now we're going to go ahead and pay them. So you toggle them as ready to pay on this screen, and that's going to open up your payment workflow. So as you can see, you can do this for multiple different invoices here if you'd like. We're just going to do it for this one right now. And when you go ahead and actually pay them, this is where you have your options. So if you do want to use the Trimble Pay ACH, you would release the payment here. And when you do that, it's going to pop up with their banking information, the amount here. You go ahead and click pay this vendor, and that's going to kick off that 48 to 72 hour window before we release that unconditional waiver to you. If you are going to be paying in any other fashion, you would go ahead and you would mark this as paid. And again, that's when it's going to open up that verify payments tab for the subcontractor. So you mark this as paid, and now they have that task to go ahead and select that they have been paid. So again, now they're basically just waiting here for that check, digital credit card, however you're paying them to come through. And then when it does, they can just come back, click verify, and now that unconditional is released on your end. So very simple workflow for them. And again, they're in Trimble Pay quite a bit. So it's not a worry that they're never going to come back in and never verify that payment. So yeah, I know we always say that's an extra task for them, but it's, as you saw, not that big of an ask. Any other questions come through on any of those pieces, the disbursement piece or anything like that?
We actually had a question that goes back a little bit, and
Okay, not a
the
problem.
question is, how would you apply or add a back charge?
So like a change order?
I think that's what that would be. Yes.
Yeah. So again, the change orders, if you are housing those in Spectrum today, we would pull that right into Trimble Pay. Now, it's not going to come into Trimble Pay until it's reached the status of executed. So you can have all your change orders listed out in Spectrum, ready to go in whatever order you want. But until, again, you select each one as executed, it won't pull into Trimble Pay. So once you select it as executed, it would come in and it would come to the bottom here as a change order, new line for them to bill against.
Doug.
So then we have another question
Mm-hmm.
about the more towards the integration with Spectrum. Do the payments flow back to Spectrum? The three questions. How does this transfer to Spectrum? And if payment is issued via Trimble Pay, does that flow back in the Spectrum?
So it does not. So the payments info, you would have to go ahead and go back into Spectrum and mark that as paid in Spectrum. To pull it over, however, we do, like I mentioned, integrate on that end where we can pull in the jobs, the subcontracts, the change orders that are already present in there and pull those into Trimble Pay. But yeah, the exporting out, you can export once they've approved of those pay apps. So again, the approved pay app and all of the signed documents, those can go back to Spectrum. What you would do is come to your integrations tab, and unlike this where I have every integration, you would just have your Spectrum integration and there would be a button to go ahead and export that. When you do that, it would pop up all your project lists and then you could select that project to export back to Spectrum. From there, it would come over as an unposted batch to where then your team would post it. And then depending on how you normally do things, if you use hold codes or not, you can put those on. But once you actually go through and do the disbursements, so basically once you get to this screen, what I always say is if you have two monitors, awesome, bring Spectrum up on one monitor, have Trimble Pay up here. And once you go ahead and mark it as paid here, go right into Spectrum and finish out that payment process there.
So Doug, back on the back charge thing, typically my experience with back charges are subcontractor performed work. It didn't meet the quality after they got paid, and so they back charge the subcontractor for maybe self-labor to fix the problem that was handled by the contractor for the sub's behalf.
Okay, so
yeah.
Would it be like a deductive change order then?
Yeah, I mean, it would, yeah, be deductive against any new or current billings.
Yeah, so it would depend, of course. I mean, if it's gonna be a deduction that, let's say it's a $30,000 contract and they've paid out $28,000 of it, if the deduction is going to bring them down below that amount that's already been paid out, I think we would have to go ahead into Spectrum and just make sure we report that correctly. But let me go ahead and touch base with my project team as well and just make sure that we get the perfect correct answer for you on what that workflow would look like of how we're going to go ahead and pull that money back.
Thanks.
Any other questions other than that? Sorry, you're on mute, Brett.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Nope. That's it.
It looks like we have one with a hand up. I'm not sure how we address that. Looks like Karen has her hand up. But I don't know. Is she able to unmute herself or?
Let me might have unmuted Karen. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't just kick her out. Oh, there she is. I think she's unmuted. Karen, do you have a question you want to ask?
She says she's not able to unmute. How does pay when pay work? Oh, so pay when paid, that I was just saying that as like one of those kind of triggers for you. So we don't like track when you've been funded by your owner. That would just be, again, one of those triggers if you're waiting for that to be able to disperse the rest of your payments. That's what I was saying, like whatever it is that you're waiting for, whether it's the pay when paid, hey, we're still waiting to get funded from our owner, or you're just waiting for the end of the period or waiting for all the pay apps to come in. That was what I was saying there. But yeah, we don't have a way to show or track that you have been funded by the owner. So I hope that answers that one. I do also want to show, we do have a couple of reports that we can pull right out of Trimble Pay. Now, the main bulk of your reporting, your more detailed reporting, would still happen in Spectrum. Of course, once this information gets back there, you can run reports out of Spectrum. But again, just some simple ones you can run to get an eagle-eye view of things here. The invoices report is going to show you the status of all your invoices, of course. And this can be filtered down, by date, by project, by vendor, however you see fit to kind of get that eagle-eye view of what those statuses are. Same thing with the compliance report. It's going to show you the status of all your compliance items out there. And again, this can be filtered down by project, by vendor, by compliance item, by the status. That way you can really see, okay, we need to go ahead and get these items right away. Another nice report is the monthly billing summary. So this can kind of be used as like the bones of an owner bill. So from here, you'll select a project, and then you would select a pay period, and it would pop up with everything that's been done in that specific period. And then you can go ahead and you can export this out. It will come out as an Excel format to where then you can add in general conditions, tech fees, whatever you need to add on there to then pass that along. And then in conjunction with that, we have the compiled documents report. So let's say, in addition to that monthly billing summary, we also need some of those documents that were submitted. So here you select the project, and then you can select a specific pay period, or let's say it's the end of the project, we need everything. We're going to select all pay periods. Same thing with the contracts here. You can select a specific contract, or, hey, I need everything. We're going to select all contracts. And then you just drag and drop what you need. We need all the pay apps. We need all the sworn statements, all the unconditional waivers. And then when you generate this, it will email you a concatenated PDF of all those documents for you to include with that monthly billing summary and submit on. So wanted to show you those as well. But apart from that, that's pretty much Trimble Pay. We don't have a lot of fluff around the system. We like to keep it nice and simple for you and your subcontractors. So we like to think of it as very straightforward and to the point. But yeah, of course, if there's any other questions now, happy to answer those. Or if you'd like to take a deeper dive, happy to, kind of get on a one-on-one session with you and your team and go through the system, answer any other questions you have, and kind of make it a little bit more personal to your actual workflows, if that's what would work for you. So let me know how we can help, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So we have one more question at this point,
Sure.
And it's, if a subcontractor enters their schedule of values, how does it transfer to Spectrum phase codes?
Good question. So if you are bringing them over, and I apologize for it not being visually like one for one what it would look like. If you have these set up as phase codes, so if you think about it, like the demo line would be a phase code for 5,000, and then they could break that down further under that demo line. Same for clearing. The clearing would come over as a $5,000 phase code line, and then they could break that down further. But what I can do afterwards, since again, I believe everyone's a Spectrum user, Brett, we have a couple of videos that show that import-export process. So if you'd like, I don't know if it'd be easier to provide that to you and you can shoot it out to the group or whatever, but we can get those videos to y'all. And I know on those, they do show like the phase code detail and how that comes over. So those might kind of suffice in getting a clear image of what the relationship between Spectrum and Trimble Pay is, because again, I apologize, mine's kind of just a generic for everyone type of user. So yeah, we can get those videos to you, and hopefully that'll answer some questions there. And if not, feel free to obviously follow up on those, and we can get you some more details.
Perfect. Yeah, so you can send that to me, and I'll get an email out to the group.
Awesome.
One more question. So now
Sure.
all subcontractor information would now be housed in Trimble Pay and no longer in Spectrum. Pay history, open items, invoice approval.
No, so their information would still remain in Spectrum. The invoice approvals would happen inside of Trimble Pay, correct? But we're going to be pulling the information you have on your vendors from Spectrum into Trimble Pay. So we're just going to feed that information. It's nothing you're going to have to recreate in Trimble Pay.
I think that was it. Oh no.
That's a good
Nope.
question.
I think that was it. I think I got them all. I think I got them all. If I didn't answer your question, you can respond to my email I send out, and I'll get an answer for you.
Awesome.
But yeah, that was awesome, Doug. It's looks great. One, looks easy to use and easy to learn, and it seems very well thought out and comprehensive for the vendor subcontractor payment process. Looks really great. Excited for it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, excited to talk to y'all more in depth. I mean, this is a really great tool and really beneficial both for you and your subcontractors. So yeah, let's have some conversations and see if this is a good fit for you.
Great. So I'll send an email out. You're also going to get an email with the recording in about 6 hours. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want to see it more detail, we can get Doug pulled in and get your team a detailed dive or a deep dive into the application. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Always appreciate it. Doug, awesome job. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Yep. Take care.